Every once in a while, someone after my seminar says, I think you talk too much about money success, and that's not where the good life is. The good life is not just money and success and making a lot of money and doing well financially. And I understand that, I really do. And I have pondered those subjects all these years, and I don't want it to make it seem like just going for money or financial success is where the true values are. They are not. And hopefully in my seminar, I've not enough in there to try not to mislead people that I'm just thinking of financial success. But so Mr. Schaaf said to me, in my opinion, financial independence is a worthwhile objective, he said. Here's why, he said, Jim. Once you get money out of the way, you can't believe the other dimensions of your life you can work on. Once you solve the money problem, he said, now you'll have the time, more time, the work on certain other projects of your life that will really start to grow and expand. So he said, for that reason, I think financial independence is a worthwhile objective. And I know part of it's a moral question. There is a Bible phrase that says, the love of money is the root of all evil. But I'm sure the phrase is probably more correct in saying the love of money, the love of money. Now, when I did start getting some of those big bonus checks way back in those early days, my first crack at money, right? I wasn't too worried about, whether or not it was going to ruin me. One of my friends, right, his wealthy friend, when he started making a lot of big money, said, Robert, I don't know if I should give you all this big money or not. Said, money's ruined a lot of people. And Robert said, just try me one time. Let's just see. So we're all willing to go through it. I'm sure that first time. But I know it is a moral question. Sometimes it's something you just have to wrestle with. But here's what I found out. Financial independence is not something you have to throw away all of their values to acquire. You don't have to throw them all away. Now, you could, and that would be foolish. If there's half a dozen major values and you threw away 5 to go for one, see that it would be foolish. But in my opinion, you really don't have to. But now in the moral question, for those who press me a little bit about talking too much about money and finance being successful, I have another question in response, sharpening up my debating skills. And here's my question. If you could do better, should you? That's pretty good on my side of the debate, right? If you could do better, should you? Sometimes people use the moral question as an excuse to be lazy and not to improve. Then on the other side, part of it is just the challenge to see what you can become, regardless of what the amount is. A man said to me one time, well, Mr. Rohn, I'm making about $50,000 a year. Isn't that enough? And I said, yes, it's enough if you're bumping your full potential. But if you're capable of half, $1,000 a year, you're somewhat of a loser. See, it's not the amount that counts, it's the extent of your reach that counts. That's what we want to do. Employ the full extent of our reach, whatever that amount turns out to be. If it's $5,000 a year, wonderful, if that. If you're really extending yourself economically, doing the best you can, and those numbers turn out to be 5,000, wonderful. If it's 50,000, wonderful. It's $500,000, wonderful. As long as you're extending yourself, your mental, personal capacity to its limit, whatever those amounts are, those are the amounts because Mr. Schaaf had this simple philosophy. How far should you go? Answer as far as you can. How much should you learn? As much as you can. How many books should you read? As many as you can. How much should you earn? As much as you can. How much should you share? As much as you can. What should you accomplish? As much as you can. That's a good philosophy. What could I do in comparison to what I am doing? What could I do to extend my reach? Am I fully employed? Good question. And I think that's the answer to some of the moral question. If you're properly using your 8 hours and you're extending yourself and you're doing your best, whatever that amount is, that's the amount. But financial independence is a worthwhile goal if you can finally set money aside as being such a major object in trying to accomplish and paying the bills. And Mr. Schaaf said to me, Mr. Rohn, I think the only way to get money out of the way is to have plenty. So I went for that. Here's what also I found out. The time you've already set aside for labor is enough time to become wealthy. If you're working 8, 10 hours a day, that's about it. You can't put in more than about 8 or 10. But see if you better utilize that 8 or 10 and you double, triple, quadrupled your income. See, that would be, okay, just better utilization of the time you're already spending laboring. Just a better use of it. Now see if you start throwing your health away by going for the money and working 20 hours a day and sliding all your friends and walking away from your family. See, now you've lost all the other values to go for one. And that would be, in my opinion, shortchanging yourself. But financial independence? Let me give you just a few clues on financial independence, because part of it depends on the plan you have. It isn't necessarily how hard you work or whatever else you sacrifice to go for it. You really don't have to do that. Most of us live long enough, and especially in this country of unique prosperity, we have chances enough to fairly quickly, before too long, solve the money problems of our life. One of the major reasons why most people don't is because they're operating on the wrong plan. And here's the key. It's not so much what you earn as what you do with what you earn. It's not so much what you earn as what you do with what you earn. I think according to the latest figures, the average person in this country now in a working lifetime makes half $1,000 average in a working lifetime. The question is, at the end of the working lifetime, where is it now? See, some people have got it and some people haven't got it. They both earned it, but they both didn't keep it, and part of it is just simply operating on the wrong plan for financial independence. Here's a good book to get to start giving you some ideas. It's called The Richest Man in Babylon. The Richest Man in Babylon by George Clason. It's a good book to start with on financial independence. Neat little story, give you some great ideas. Here's the theme of the book. The Richest Man in Babylon. Learn to live on 70% of your net income. This is just a suggestion plan. Learn to live on 70% of your net income. Now, net simply means after taxes, because that's the only money you get to see anyway, right? Jesus, master teacher, said, pay Caesar first. And in this country, Caesar takes it before we ever see it, right? So Caesar gets fake, but those were the instructions. Pay Caesar first. Okay, give Caesar what belongs to Caesar. In translating this into kids' language, we call it the care and feeding of the goose that lays the golden eggs. Everybody's got to be taught the care and feeding of the goose that lays the golden eggs. You don't tear up the goose and divide it up. Guys, they got me a handful of feathers. Say, oh no. Somebody else says they got me a wings. Oh no, poor goose. Right. We won't have a goose very long. You must care and feed the goose that lays the golden eggs. And you say, well, the goose eats too much. Well, that may be true. Maybe we all pay a little too much in taxes, I'm sure. Right? The president is trying to get through the Congress some way to reduce our taxes so the goose won't eat too much. And every goose has an inclination to eat too much, right? So the government spends too much money. The goose is overweight. I understand that. But we're all a little over, right? Everything by longevity tends to get off course. Everything needs to be corrected. And that's just part of life. The longer something goes, the more tendency it is to eat a little too much, indulge a little too much, try to gather up a little too much power. You know, that's just natural, right? And the government's the same way. You hire somebody to be a servant in your house, and now they want to take over. They say, no, I hired you to take out the trash, not to run the house. But you're not by longevity, right? People just gather up, you know, more power and whatever. And then it's got to be corrected. Put back in place. Everything needs to be corrected. Our diets, our lives, our friendships, marriage, everything tends to get off course, goes along pretty good, and starts to drift. Got to bring it back. Starts to drift, bring it back. Starts to drift. That's just part of life. So the goose does overeat. I understand that. And perhaps, you know, we do pay too many taxes and the government does, you know, spend the sum of our money a bit recklessly. I understand that. But see, Jesus did say you've got to take care of Caesar, because part of Caesar's responsibility is to be the goose that lays the golden eggs. We do have to have a society. We do have to have a government, or you have no market. And among the governments of the world, we do have to protect ourselves. If somebody's got to pay for the radar and the Polaris submarines and the B-52s and the missiles, somebody's got to pay. See, I don't mind picking up my share of the radar, and hire somebody to watch it and make sure they stay over there. You got to do that. So you got to care and feed the goose. Mr. Showoff taught me to be a happy taxpayer. Now that was a whole new thing for me. Be a happy taxpayer, not a reluctant taxpayer. Okay? You got to care and feed the goose. And in this country, of course, for a portion of our incomes, maybe it's a little too much, but pay it happily anyway. Maybe they'll straighten it out and it'll come down a little bit or whatever. Just pay it gladly. To know that we've got to have the Army and the Navy and the Air Force and the submarines and the battleships. We've got to have a show of strength. We've got to be a leader among the free world. We really do. And all that's got to be paid for. So I don't mind picking up my share, and everybody ought to pay their share. In my personal opinion, the poorest of the poor ought to pay federal income taxes if it's only $1 a year. So they have the sense of contributing to the care and feeding of the goose instead of just taking. They also contribute at least $1 a year. The poorest of the poor, so that they have a sense of helping to pay for the safety and the security of the country. Because see, with our present Navy and Army and Air Force and the governmental structure and what safety we do have around the world keeps us here, secure in our homes, right where we can work and enjoy each other's, commerce possibilities, trade goods and services, and make money, enjoy ourselves, and have parties. Now, if somebody's willing to do all that out there while we're here having fun, making money, and having parties, I don't mind picking up my share of the tab. Okay, so Caesar's first. Pay Caesar first, then what you got left after Caesar needs to be divided up. And the book, The Richest Man in Babylon, gives you some suggestions on how to divide up your money and where to put it so that you'll have a good plan. Everybody needs a financial plan, because here's how you surely wind up broke. Spend all you make, so you just wind up broke. Now, in those early days, way back there, I spent more than I made. That's why I'm making it down to budget finance to finance the deficit in my spending. Okay, some suggestions on what to do with the money you've got left now after taxes. One is learn to be enterprising. Profits are better than wages. Everybody should turn part of their income, even if it's from wages, into capital and become a capitalist. The healthier the country becomes is going to be a result of more and more people becoming capitalists, not just letting big business be the capitalist. Now, communism teaches that all capital should be in the hands of the state, and should take it out of the hands of the individuals because they're too dumb and stupid to know what to do with it. All we want them to do is just show up and do their work and go home and behave themselves and stay out of trouble, and we will take care of the capital of the government. They'll think of things the state can't think of, and they'll react much quicker than the state will, right? The state's always 2, 3, 4 years late. Government's always late, and they always spend too much money, right? Capital ought to be in the hands of the individuals. Now, if you don't use capital and become a capitalist, and you don't, and everybody doesn't, pretty soon, guess what? Now the capital will all start going toward the state because the society has to survive. Okay, now these are just some of my personal opinions, but I'm in toddler rows, right? I don't even claim they're right. I just claim they're my opinions. That way I'm off the hook. But anyway, be a capitalist. Make sure you've turned part of your income into capital. And so you can teach kids how to be enterprising and capitalists from the time they're little, just little kids. You'll teach them on how to have 2 bicycles, one to ride and one to rent, to earn money, okay? And teach kids how to earn money. Not just get a job, teach them how to be enterprising, teach them how to sell. One of the best ways to learn about life is just get out and sell something, and little kids can sell. Teach them how to buy a bottle of soap for $2 and sell it for $3 right down the street. Your market's next door. You don't have to go very far. Teach kids how to knock on doors. Say, Miss Brown, I got the soap. It's the finest in the world. Teach them how to do that, and then teach them all the advantages of being a kid. Some people will buy from me just because you're little. They will. It's an advantage, and the littler the better. So you teach them how to be little, and you've got to hurry because you won't be little forever, right? Get out there and take advantage, right? So a little kid knocks on the door and says, "Miss Brown, I've got this soap. It only costs $3 and it's the best there is. And I'm your neighbor. I can take care of you. You should buy it. And besides, I'm little," Miss Brown says. "Hey, I appreciate you coming by. That's really nice. I appreciate that. But look, I've already got plenty of soap." Little kid says, "Well, let me come in and check." See, kids don't mind doing that, right? I mean, they know how to overcome objections. You don't need to give them classes. They're incredible. Now, little kid makes a sale. They've got 3 out. Now, what you got to do is not only teach them how to earn the $3, how to get the $3 by making a sale. Now, you got to teach them what to do with the money. Now, it's very simple what to do with $2, right? Set it aside so you can buy another bottle of soap, she says. Well, that makes sense. Otherwise, you'd be out of business. That's right. And I know some adults are a little short on that information. So you got to set aside $2. Kids says, "Okay, then I got $1 to spend." Say, no. If you spend that, you'll wind up, like most people age 65, broke. And then take them to that part of town where people are 65 and broke and show them. Let them walk around the neighborhood, drive around, and the kid says, "Well, I don't want to live like this." Say, "Fine. Now here's what you do with your money. You just got to show." Sometimes you got to go and touch and look and see what you don't want so that you'll make arrangements over here not to ever be there. What was that movie they came out with where they took the kids to the jails, scared straight, let them visit with the prisoners, right? And firsthand they looked around, saw these bars in the jail prisons, talked to some of the prisoners, and firsthand got somebody to say, "Whatever you do, don't come here." Now that's not some minister saying, "Don't go there." That's the man saying, "Don't come here. Whatever you do, let me show you what it's like. Here's where I have to sleep. I can't get out. I've got 15 more years to spend here." Kids' eyes get about this big saying, "I don't ever want to wind up here." See, that's good, right? And to teach us all, we've just got to go where it is, where people have had the wrong plan. And that's sad, right? To look back and say, "I picked up the wrong plan at age 20. Look where I am. Who talked me into this plan? I bought the wrong plan." So then the kid says, "Okay, what do I do with my dollar?" Say, "Here's what you do with your dollar. 10 cents is for the increase of capital. And everybody ought to have the same plan. 10 cents out of every dollar should be for the increase of capital." Now see, the kid understands this right away. Says, "Well, that's true. If you saved up your dimes and could buy 2 bottles of soap instead of 1, you save yourself a trip." That's right. Now, not only do you save yourself a trip, some people will sell you 2 bottles cheaper than 1. You buy 1 bottle for $2, they sell you 2 bottles for $3.80. Kid says, "How clever. Then when you sell it, you make more money." That's right. That's why you've got to accumulate your capital, because everybody benefits from it. They get to sell 2 bottles instead of 1 at a time. So it's better for them, and it's better for you, and it's better for everybody. Now you're starting to teach commerce capitalism. How to earn money, how to be responsible, and mainly what to do with it.
die.